Hello everybody, my name is Bodger the Badger and I'm going to teach you about manufacturing processes this week. I'm very sorry, Mr. Thompson is not available and Miss Anderson has asked me very kindly to step up to the plate to deliver some learning. Whee! So I'm going to look at different manufacturing processes. In fact, there are only 3 different ways of manufacturing products. Okay. First one we're going to look at here is redistribution. This is where you start with some material. And we change its shape and it turns into something else. Woohoo! So different ways in which we can do redistribution could be such as moulding and casting, which I know you've looked at casting recently. And the great thing about redistribution, you can get quite complex shapes. Looking at injection moulding in particular would give you lots of complex shapes. Unfortunately, redistribution's very, very expensive to set up. Okay, and each setup can only be really used for one job, so you can't do multiple tasks, but you can get the same identical product every time, so it's very, very good for repeating a process. Okay, I'm going to go through these reasonably quickly because there's some tasks for you to do at the end, and you can read through the further benefits as well in your own time. Here we have wasting. Okay, so whereas redistribution was moving material around to create new shapes of that material, wasting is where we, in essence, generate waste. Okay, and we can do that by cutting material, so you get some sawdust, by drilling material, where you might get some swarf, grinding, filing, using a laser cutter, anywhere where there will be some form of waste material generated is known as a wasting process. Okay, obviously doing it by hand not massively accurate, uses CNC router, so computer numeric control. You might be able to find that you've got a lot more sort of repeatable functionality there. Okay, negatives, wasting does exactly what it says on the tin, like Ronseal, and that is it will create waste which you need to do something with, be that landfill, or maybe if you've got a closed loop system, which we've discussed before, where that waste material goes back around, all the way around, and comes back into the manufacture process. Okay, so that is very, very quickly looking at waste. Fabrication. In reality, fabricating is where we join materials together, so it's the joining process. And that could be using any one of our many temporary or permanent joining methods, from gluing to nuts and bolts. And benefits of this: it's relatively simple equipment required, it's relatively cheap to set up, and actually you can do multiple jobs with the same equipment, so it's quite sort of flexible in terms of what you can do. Obviously, fabrication is more hand skills, which means there's going to be more errors, and errors are not always particularly brilliant. You don't want the errors, so worth considering that. Obviously, in school we spend probably more time doing fabrication than we do redistribution because we've got the tools to do fabrication, whereas redistribution, okay, normally requires high-end machines, like we said, injection molding. Obviously, vacuum forming is a form of redistribution, whereas you then still have to cut that up, which is wasting, and then attach it to something else, some other material, which would be fabricating. So we still have a lot more fabricating and wasting in school. Now, in terms of tasks, I've got 3 little tasks for you here. The first one is asking you just to list as many different fabrication, redistribution and wasting methods as you can. Okay, 15 minutes of just listing. Okay, obviously it left you space to do sort of 7 in each column there. you could do 50 in some of those columns. Okay, so have a real good think of the different material groups. There's a variety of different methods. So for redistribution, think of how can you redistribute plastic, how can you redistribute wood, can you redistribute wood, and maybe even think about how can you do metal as well. So have a few ideas for different materials for each one of those. Okay, so that's 15 minutes on that. Then question 2 and question 3 are more, I'm going to say, old school A2 questions. So before the change in specification, these are very similar sort of questions. So 24 markers, and in reality it's discussing the pros and cons of each type of process, and I wanted to refer to specific products that you were familiar with. There is obviously examples on the previous slides, don't use them, use your own examples, something you might be a bit more aware of. And make sure you do try and really unpick the advantages and disadvantages, as well as comparing and contrasting the differences between redistribution, wasting and fabricating. Okay, so it should take about half an hour, normally a minute a mark, and then you've got 6 minutes to do some planning. And then question 3, explain the fabrication methods used to manufacture 2 of the following products. This is 2 12-mark questions, so another 24 markers. So this could quite easily be more likely a type of question you could get next year. So car body panels, domestic appliances such as washing machines or flat pack furniture. So you should describe the type of joining method used and the reasons why each are used. That might require some research to try and find out the answer first, and then from that you could then describe those methods of manufacture. It is useful to try and put some diagrams in that just to help us out, because diagrams are always useful. And I've actually helped you out slightly because the next few slides have some diagrams on that may or may not be useful. I would say probably useful. So spot welding might be useful for one of those processes. Self-tapping screws might also be useful for one of those processes, as well as knockdown fittings. So KD fittings are knockdown fittings. Okay, more often than not for flat pack furniture, you're going to see cam fittings. Okay, as one of our main ones you're going to see, or screw connector. Probably your main ones you're likely to see in IKEA standard furniture. Anyway, that's everything from me. I think Mr. Giraffe is coming into a future lesson to say hello. Hope you've enjoyed your first lesson with Bodger the Badger. I also like mashed potato. If you get that reference, do let me know. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye bye.